Hello everyone, my name is Jack, part of the Zoom Racing League, and today we're going to do a track guide for the Hungaroring here in Budapest, Hungary. There's a couple things that are quite important. We're going to separate this kind of into three parts. The first is going to be just a slow lap, taking you through the lap, everything you should look out for. And the second part will be we'll just do a hot lap. So as you can see, my best so far is a 13.5. The lap I'll show you is a 13.8. Because that's just the best one I have recorded. And then finally we'll do setups. So this is my hot lap or my time trial setup right now. Race setup is not too different, just a couple tweaks to help tires because this is a super high downforce track. But we'll get straight into it here. So when you start the lap, you can be in third or fourth gear. It's up to you. I like third. You'll find that I like third because of the rotation that I get in lower gears. But you want to kind of take this as wide as you can so you get as fast as you can go coming out of the last corner. Okay, and now, so braking. You'll notice the DRS line is directly at the 100-meter board, and that's where you want to start braking. And downshifting to third is where I go for turn one. And you can trail brake all the way through this corner. I went a little wide here, but I tend to take a lot of this entry curb and get a late exit, and then kind of like go out wide like this, and then straighten it out right about there. And now for this corner, turn two, you can see right in front of us there, it's like a little, it almost looks like there was some paint on the road, but it's like faded. Right in front of my left tire. That's kind of where I brake. It's a little it's around 80 meters, I would say, 80 or 75. That's kind of my reference point. So that's why I brake, and I'll be in 7th gear here. So I start braking there, and then I come down. Some people like 4th gear here. I personally like 3rd again for that rotation. And this curb is not too deadly. You can definitely touch it, and you'll be fine. But I like kind of wrapping around. And then this turn 3 here is flat out, and you can actually take basically all of it, as you can see there. Actually, let's do a little instant replay here and see just how much curb I can take, because it's pretty insane. So I don't know if this will be a good angle, but like basically like that is pretty much all 4 wheels off. But according to the game, it's not. I mean, it's very close, but so that's how much curb you can take. And then coming up to turn 4, you'll typically be in 7th gear, and so right here, as you can see, there is that, my mirror's blocking it. There we go. So there's the sign there, right where that guy is standing, where he's like floating up there on the right. It shows you like safety car flags, all that stuff, the electronic sign. That's kind of where I brake, so I'm in 7th gear, sorry. And you literally just a quick tap on the brakes down into 6th gear, and this is another corner that you can basically get all 4 wheels off, and you kind of want to when you're going fast to keep the car like as settled as you can. It's a weird corner, but then coming into turn 5, 6th down to 4th, and then this is the curb you want to watch out for. This will definitely send you spinning even if you just tap the front right on it. So you get close, but not too close, and then you can basically run really wide with this exit. You can go like this if you want, and then 6th gear, and then I start braking basically at where that curb on the left begins, down into 3rd, and as you can see, this is really important. So the curb for, what is this, turn 6 and 7, there's kind of 2 parts to it. There's the flat part, and then there's the sausage curb part. You do not want to touch the sausage curb. That's how you get sent in a circle. So you want to get close to them, but not too close, because it's really crucial that you take these corners, or you take as much of the curbs you can. But if you touch that sausage curb, it's not going to be good, especially if you're running a lower ride height. So you just kind of want to take this line, take it as straight as you can without touching those curbs. And this exit turn 7, you can either go up to 5th like this, or you can actually just go even wider and take this gray sort of runoff right beside the curb, and then down into 4th, and then over like this. And then I take turn 9 extremely wide. I like to come all the way out here, brake again, and then kind of touch. The apex for me is right on that curb. right where the curb ends, and then we can come out, and then I come up to 5th, 6th, and then I go wide for turn 10, 7th gear, and then a quick tap on the brakes, and then that's the line I take. And I might even run wider than that actually, up to the 7th, and then for here, so I find that braking right before that where the curb begins is, here I'll do a flashback here. I may have missed it. So, yeah, so right where this curb begins is kind of where I brake. So I run, I don't use ABS, and I actually find that with 56, braking there I don't run into any problems at all with front locking. And then down into 3rd gear, and you can literally like take all of this, run super wide. You just want to take it as straight as you possibly can. Then I brake right at the sign. Here, we'll do another flashback. So from here, down into 3rd gear, and then turn in, take a lot of the curb, and then you run wide on the exit. And then up into 5th, sometimes 6th, and then braking underneath that sign, down into 3rd, and then just running as close to that curb as you can. Traction out of here is super important, so be careful on the gas. Up into 4th, even 5th, and then I stay in 4th, and you just want to hug this as close as you can without touching that curb, and then run wide, DRS, and then that is your that's your lap, pretty much. So we'll do a full lap here at time trial speed, and we'll show you what it looks like in real time. Alright, so let's get straight into this setup here. This is my time trial setup. We'll start with the arrow 1111. Some people I've seen run 1011 or even 1110. To be honest, the straight line speed that you get from running either of those is not honestly worth it, for me at least. 1111 around Hungary is probably your best bet. Transmission, again, so what you'll find is the real difference between the time trial and like a normal race setup is going to be traction. Obviously in time trial you don't have to worry about tire wear, so running a higher off throttle diff is what I found to work good. In a race setup I might run 56 or 58 or something around there, but for the sake of time trial you can definitely get away with a higher diff, just for, again, better traction. Suspension, okay, so the big difference here, 2.8 degree or negative 2.8 degrees and 0.08 degrees of front toe toe for the front wheels. That's pretty much standard amongst most setups. The big difference here is the rear camber, and again, this is so lowering your camber gives your wheels obviously a lot more traction coming out of corners, and that is kind of crucial around here, so that's why this is also very bad for tire wear, which is why in a race we'll probably run it as high as we can. But for time trial, it's good where it was, around -1.2 degree. So for suspension, obviously you're in qualifying and time trial, I mean in the race too, you're going to want to be extending the track as much as you can. And that means hitting some curbs. So it's important to have a suspension setup that will be able to handle the curbs. So softest on the front suspension is pretty much key. And for the anti-roll bars, 2.8 is what works well. I always love having a stiffer rear axle. That's just me. This is pretty much, this is probably one of the one of the leaderboard setups that I've changed to suit me. I love this setup on this track. It's just some people might hate it because of just how much oversteer you get. That's just kind of what I like in time trial. So 2.8 is what I like, and again, the softer anti-roll bar will help a bit on curbs. Front ride height and rear ride height, so 2.7. Most of what I see on this game so far has been 2.7 or like 3.7, sometimes 2.6. In last year's game, I think generally the rule that people would stick to was only basically whatever your front is, your rear is +2. This game, people seem to be going way different. I don't remember if I've tried 2.6 with this or not, but 2.7 seems to work really well. And again, you don't want to be bottoming out the rear axle on any of these longer bumps, especially on the exits. So 2.6, 2.7 is what I would recommend. For brakes, so you should be running 100% brake pressure most of the time. I don't really understand people running less brake pressure, unless you have bumpy tracks like Monaco. I think I ran 94, 95, something like that. Some tracks, I guess, can warrant you turning it down, but for the most part, especially if you're playing with ABS, dude, just turn it all the way up. There's no point losing braking power just to prevent front locking. You should be trail braking, all that good stuff. Front brake bias, this is probably the biggest controversy of my setup. I personally cannot stand running 54. I don't know how people do it. Last year's game, you could just run it at 50 like all the time. You do that on this game, then you're in a wall. You're spinning. It doesn't work. Like Opmir, I think Jarno Opmir uses 54 on most of these tracks. I don't understand that. I find there's way too much rear locking. If you play if you play with ABS, then 54 will probably work. Just because you don't have to worry about rear locking. It's just mainly the understeer and the washing wide at corners. But 56 for me is what works. Some tracks I can go 55, but 56 is kind of the sweet spot for me. Tires, the usual. All the corners here are pretty high speed, so you want your tires to be able to withstand all that. You can lower the fronts a little bit for some better traction, some better grip, but for the most part, around here, the corners are too high to be running low pressures. In the race, go for it, run low pressures. It's the track isn't too bad on deg and wear. I found that in 50% races, mediums and hards will basically go forever. Like, they're indestructible. So I always like to run as high pressures as I can. This is probably what I would recommend for a time trial. You can literally even go higher on the fronts. Doesn't really matter. So yeah, that has been the Hungaroring. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. It helps us out a lot. And if you are interested in joining the Zoom Racing League, we'll leave a link to the Discord down in the description. So thank you once again for watching, and stay tuned. Later this week, we have the Belgian Grand Prix coming up, so stay tuned for that.